Good morning, Rundle friends. Mr. Alexander again, coming to you with cup stacks. So, now that you have read a little bit of the history of cup stacking, they call it speed stack, same thing. I would like you to actually kind of get up and you are going to do a little warm up stretch activity, and you are going to meet me back after that activity, and we will get back to cup stacking and go over some of the few things that are important in cup stacking, and then we'll go over the 3 stack, 3 stack, and the 3 stack. So I'll see you after this little quick warm-up video that you're going to check out next. So voila!
Abdominal stretch. Begin. Reach up as high as you can. Push your hips forward slightly to lengthen the front of your body and stretch your stomach. Next exercise. Arm circles. 3, 2, 1. Arm circles. Begin. Stand up with arms out to your sides. Make soccer ball size circles with your palms facing the floor. Next exercise. Quadricep stretch, left. 3, 2, 1. Quadricep stretch, left. Begin. Stand on your right leg. Hold your left foot up behind you with your left hand. Use your arm to pull your foot towards your hips. Keep your knees together. Next exercise. Quadricep stretch, right. 3, 2, 1. Quadricep stretch, right. Begin. Stand on your left leg. Hold your right foot up behind you with your right hand. Use your arm to pull your foot towards your hips. Keep your knees together. Next exercise. Overhead arm pull. 3, 2, 1. Overhead arm pull. Begin. Bend one arm over your head so your hand lowers down between your shoulder blades. Use your other arm on top to increase the stretch. Change sides. Begin. Next exercise. Neck stretch. 3, 2, 1. Neck stretch. Begin. Keep your shoulders level as you tilt your head over to the side. Use your hand on your head to increase the stretch, but don't force it. Change sides. Begin. Next exercise. Single leg balance, eyes closed. 3, 2, 1. Single leg balance, eyes closed. Begin. Stand on one leg with your arms out for balance. Once you are stable, close your eyes and try and keep your balance for the duration of the exercise. Change sides. Begin. Next exercise. Airplane pose, right. 3, 2, 1. Airplane pose, right. Begin. Stand on your left leg, lean forwards with your arms reaching forwards. As you lean forward, lift your right leg up straight behind you. Next exercise. Airplane pose, left. 3, 2, 1. Airplane pose, left. Begin. Stand on your right leg. Lean forwards with your arms reaching forwards. As you lean forward, lift your left leg up straight behind you. Next exercise. Butterfly stretch. 3, 2, 1. Butterfly stretch. Begin. Sit up on the floor with your feet together and your knees bent out to the sides. Next exercise. Lower back stretch. 3, 2, 1. Lower back stretch. Begin. Sit up as straight as you can, right leg flat and left leg bent. Twist your upper body to your left and pushing your elbow against your knee. Keep the other hand on the floor for support. Change sides. Begin. Next exercise. Side stretch. 3, 2, 1. Side stretch. Begin. Stand up with feet at shoulder width. Then lean over to your left as you reach your right arm up over your head and to the left, and slide your left hand down your left leg. Next exercise. Tree pose, right. 3, 2, 1. Tree pose, right. Begin. Place the left foot on your right thigh, pressing the foot into the thigh. Focus on a fixed point to help you balance. Next exercise. Tree pose, left. 3, 2, 1. Tree pose, left. Begin. Place the right foot on your left thigh, pressing the foot into the thigh. Focus on a fixed point to help you balance. Make sure your foot is not on your knee. Next exercise. Bending windmill stretch. 3, 2, 1. Bending windmill stretch. Begin. Bend forward with a straight back. Reach one arm down and the other arm up as you twist your spine. Next exercise. Seated hamstring stretch. 3, 2, 1. Begin. Sit down with straight legs. Lean forward from your hips and reach your hands towards your toes. Next exercise. Walking on heels. 3, 2, 1. Walking on heels. Begin. Stand up and lift your toes off the floor so you are balancing on your heels. Then walk forward and backward without letting your toes touch the floor or losing your balance. Next exercise. Tightrope. 3, 2, 1. Tightrope. Begin. Stand on your left leg. Bend forward and touch your left foot with your right hand. At the same time, lift your right leg up behind you. Repeat on the right. Your last exercise is chair pose. 3, 2, 1. Chair pose. Begin. Lower yourself down into a high squat and hold it. Reach your arms up above your head and keep your back as straight as you can. Last few seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Hey Rundle friends, it's Mr. Alexander coming back to you with cup stacks. So now that you've read the history of what they call speed stack, which is what's on the side of this cup, I refer to it as cup stacking, same thing, okay? So now that you've read that article and that you've left me 3 complete sentences about 3 facts that you learned from the article, now we can review and talk about the next stack that we're going to learn. But first we're going to go back to the simple 3 stack. That is the first thing you learn in cup stacking. I'm going to demonstrate with my cups, and then I'll demonstrate with the cups that you should have as well as at home as well, okay? So with that being said, I am going to start in cup stacking. A few things. We didn't talk about this one important thing last time, and I remembered after the fact I made the video. The thing is, when you are stacking cups, holding the cups is very important. So the first thing that you learn is just how to hold them on the sides and nice and gently. But also when you're doing just a 3 stack, just to get the feel of the cups, we like to hold them in one hand and we put our pinky underneath the bottom to hold that cup, because if it's on the side, it's gonna fall. So our pinky's underneath the bottom of the cup, our ring finger is on the next cup, and then our middle finger and our pointer fingers on the top cup, and our thumb is also holding the top cup as well. Now, what you like to do, or what you need to do, is all you're practicing is moving your fingers one at a time. So you remove your pinky and let that first cup, and then your ring finger, and then you drop that last cup, okay? So again, your pinky's underneath the bottom, and then your ring finger, and then your pointer finger and your middle finger on the top, and then all you're doing is just dropping, dropping, and dropping, okay? So in cup stacking, you always start with your dominant hand. So when you're doing this, dropping these 3 cups, obviously you're gonna hold them in your dominant hand, okay? Now, after that, talk about a few other things before we go over the 3 stack. Instead of holding the cups on the tops, you wanna hold them on the sides, okay? Because when you're stacking, if your hands are on the top and your fingers, you can't put the cups down, they just get in the way. So you wanna hold the cups on the sides, okay? Now also you want to barely hold them on the sides. You don't want to squeeze them like that, because when you squeeze them it changes the shape, and eventually it's going to make it where the cup will not come off the cup, it sticks, okay? So you want to grab them nice and easily, okay, on the sides, not on the tops, on the sides, okay? So in cup stacking, we talked about you always start with your dominant hand. Mr. Alexander's dominant hand is his right hand, so he's going to start stacking with his right hand, okay? So another thing is in cup stacking, you want to have both of your hands up near the cups, because you're constantly using both hands. You're switching back and forth, okay? So you start with your dominant hand, and then you're going to switch, all right? Slow motion. Mr. Alexander starts a 3-stack, his dominant hand, and he puts the cup on his dominant side. He switches hand, non-dominant hand, and he finishes with that one on top, okay? So they're stacked up. Now when you down stack them, you're gonna start stacking with your dominant hand. You're gonna slide over down to your dominant side, then you're gonna switch to your non-dominant hand, and it's gonna finish on top, okay? So again, dominant hand, non-dominant hand, dominant hand, non-dominant hand. Now, if you're looking, it looks like they're going in a circle. It's making a circle, and they're going in the same direction, okay? So up stack and then down stack, okay? Now, don't worry about your speed. Eventually you'll get faster, but the most important thing is making sure you're doing it the correct way, okay? So I'm gonna show you what that looks like with the cups that you have. So here's 3 cups. Again, you always start with your dominant hand. You always start with both hands near the cups, but you start stacking with your dominant hand, and you switch hands. Your non-dominant finishes on top. Then you start down stacking, dominant hand to the dominant side, switch hands, non-dominant on top. Okay, now what that looks like a little bit faster is your dominant hand to your dominant side, and then you're just going in a circle. So it looks just like you're making a circle. All right, that is the 3-stack. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do what we were doing last time. We finished was a 3-3-3 stack, okay? Just a 3-3-3. Now, in cup stacking, when you add more than 1 stack of cups, like that, you have to pick where you're gonna start. So, you always start with your dominant hand. This is Mr. Alexander's dominant hand, but when you add more than 1 stack, you have to pick where you're gonna start. Again, you always start with your dominant hand. Now, when there's more than 1 stack, you're gonna start on the opposite side of your dominant hand. Notice, I'm still starting with my dominant hand, okay? So, both hands are here, ready to stack up. Start with my dominant hand, non-dominant, and I go to the next one. Notice my dominant hand leads and stacks. Now, the most important thing when you're doing a 3-3-3 or any stack more than 1 is Mr. Alexander stacked up, and I finished stacking at this end. Now, the most important thing is you have to go back to the beginning to where you started, and you start down stacking. Remember, you always start with your dominant hand, then you switch to non-dominant. Dominant hand, non-dominant on the top, dominant, non-dominant. Okay, one more time. So, dominant hand on the opposite side of your dominant hand, you stack up, and then when you get to the end, you go back to the beginning to down stack. All right, now I'm going to show you what that looks like with your cups that you have at home. So, 3, 3, and 3 should look just like this. You start with your dominant hand, but you always start on the opposite side of your dominant hand. Still starting with your dominant hand. Both hands are near the cup. You're going to stack up, and then you're going to stack up. These are a little trickier. And you're going to stack up, and then remember, you go back to the beginning to down stack, starting with your dominant hand, non-dominant hand. Dominant hand, dominant hand, and that's the 3-3-3, okay? So, now, in order to learn the 3-6-3, we need to learn the 6-stack, okay? So, there's 3, and then there's 3, which makes 6, okay? So, in the 6-stack, we are always going to grab 3 cups first, and we start with our dominant hand grabbing 3 cups. Remember, our pinky's underneath the bottom, our ring finger is on that next cup, and then our 2 other fingers, our pointer finger and middle finger on the top cup, and our thumb is on the other side, holding them nice and gently. So you grab 3 in your dominant hand, 2 in your non-dominant hand, and guess what? There's 1 in the middle. That's called the 3-2-1 method, okay? Again, with the 6 stack, you start with your dominant hand, grabbing 3, and then you grab 2 in your non-dominant and 1 there. It's the 3-2-1 method, okay? So after you have those in your hands, then you can start stacking the cups down. So you start with your dominant hand, drop it on the dominant side, and then you rotate non-dominant. Dominant right up, non-dominant, and you finish with your dominant hand putting that cup on top. And that completes the stack of 6 cups stacked up. Now, you're gonna start down stacking. Again, you always start with your dominant hand, all right? Now, notice you start with your dominant hand, and I'm gonna go slow and break it down. You go over and down to your dominant side. Now watch, you keep your hand there. You're gonna take your non-dominant hand and grab that cup on the non-dominant side. You're gonna slide over and down. So there's 1 in the middle, there's 2 in your non-dominant, and 3 in your dominant hand, okay? So then you're gonna stack them back down by 1 in the middle, and then you're gonna stack, and your non-dominant hand has 2. What comes after 1? 2. Then your dominant hand has 3, and it finishes it on top, okay? So again, you start stacking with your, stacking up with your dominant hand, and it grabs 3, and then 2, and then you just stack, 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 and then you down stack dominant hand, non-dominant hand, you can go ahead and grab because you know where you're gonna grab, and all you do is you go over and down to those sides. Your dominant hand goes to your dominant side, non-dominant to your non-dominant side. You got 1 in the middle, 2 in your non-dominant, 3 in your dominant, and you go 1, what comes after 1, 2 in your non-dominant, 3 on top. Now, with that being said, we can move on and go to the 3-6-3, because all we're doing instead of a 3-3-3 is just add 3 in the middle, which makes 6. So it's a 3-6-3. That's all that changes, okay? We already know what we do when we add more than 1 stack, which is we always have to start on the opposite side of your dominant hand, always starting with your dominant hand. So you go over here, both hands, you start with your dominant hand, and then in the middle, which is a 6 stack, it's the 3-2-1 method. You stack, 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 finish with your dominant hand, go over here. Now you have to go back to the beginning and start down stacking dominant hand. Remember, your dominant hand slides over and down to the dominant side, non-dominant. 1 comes after 1, 2, and 3 on top, and then you go over, and that would be the 3-6-3. Now I'm going to show you with the cups that you have at home. So there's a 3, 6, and 3, okay? So again, you're going to start with your dominant hand. Mr. Alexander's dominant hand is his right hand. I'm going to start on the opposite side, still starting with my dominant hand. Both hands near the cups because you're always using both hands. And then the 3-2-1 method with the cups in the middle. So you got 3 in your dominant, 2 in your non-dominant. So you drop, 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 drop. Then you go over here and stack up. Remember, you go back to the beginning to down stack, starting with your dominant hand, non-dominant hand, 1, 2, and 3 on top. And then you stack down. So that's a lot to learn. Now, if you have cups, you should probably continue to practice, because when you practice, it's just going to make you a little better, and it's pretty rewarding. So until next class, enjoy playing around with the cups that you have if you're cup stacking, and if not, go ahead on YouTube and watch some of the cup stacking videos. There's some pretty good cup stacking videos that you can watch of some really, really fast people. And so the most important thing is you're trying your best and you're giving your best effort, because trust me, the videos on YouTube that I've watched of some of the people cup stacking, those people are awesome. They're crazy, wicked fast, okay? So thanks for joining me with this video, and I hope you have gotten a little bit better with cup stacking. And if not, all you can do is keep trying. Remember, practice makes perfect.